Today we're going to deepen, we're going to quicken, we're going to elevate, and we are going to transform. For over 3 decades, throughout the process of awakening and moving through the thresholds of enlightenment and the embodiment of mastery, I've always had the inner knowing that we were divinely designed to manifest the super genius state, the highest levels of the quickening of time for human expression, for human incarnation, that imparts the transmission of light to elevate, to awaken, to ignite the inborn godhood that has always been present within our DNA. And so this ignition, this awakening, this sparking into manifestation, a higher DNA, the 12-strand DNA, is something that I am dedicating much of my focus and my own personal inner transformation to attain in this lifetime. And so people speak of realization, self-realization, they speak of enlightenment. But what I'm really wanting to impart to you is the reality of embodied mastery. The state of effortless enlightenment through which divine love and service just naturally outpour, effortlessly outpour. Sort of the brimming over of your love and light, it just effortlessly outpour. And yet it is that cellular awakening, the DNA awakening, that is also so important. So I invite you to close your eyes, feel your heart of heart, and touch within yourself the innermost places within you where you already know, you sense, you desire to live from your divine potential, to no longer be bound and entrapped whatsoever in a time-bound existence, to free the light, the kundalini, the soma, the soul, to free your godhood, your inner logos, to be made manifest. And so closing your eyes and feel that quickening of divine anticipation. And you see and sense and vision your pillar of light. As we begin this transmission, meditation, activation, for igniting the 12-strand DNA, which begins to flower the super genius of our greatest potential as human beings. And so as we align and call forth Christ consciousness, we align and call forth the Godhood that is our inherent being. And as we truly invoke into our physical reality the archetypes of God consciousness, the avatars of God consciousness, the master self, the Master Self, and the awakening of the DNA that sparks into reality the super genius of the inner avatar, the super genius of your Master Self. And as you feel my words resonate, as you feel all the promises and prayers, the meditations since the beginning of time itself, that have always known that we would transform, that we would become multi-dimensional, even as we lived an impeccable expression of mastery through human embodiment. It is possible, it is destined, and it is divinely decreed. Breathe and begin to sense the permeation of divine light. And with each exhalation, allow the penetration of divine light to deepen within your being. It is a subtle igniting. It is a heart-centered reception of the power of God consciousness that does indeed factually ignite the 12-strand DNA of the super genius state of enlightenment. Transmission from on high, O dear ones, flowing to you. And perhaps you can sense the joy because your heart knows that this is indeed your birthright. It has been the promise since the Ancient of Days for our awakening to attain a zenith of divine potential. For as this awakening begins, and as one by one, as 12 by 12, and as multiples of 12 begin to move throughout the great wave awakening that is touching initiates all over the world, we become the 144. We then become the 144,000 of celestial promise that attains that tipping point of the awakened DNA that begins to change the very nature of human existence on this planet. And as Master Jesus has said, and all these things I have done, ye shall do. And all the higher guidance and messages of hope and truth and awakening that we have received from all of the enlightened masters throughout time, all the prophets and the saints and the rishis. Our divine humanity has always been flowering. And yet we are now in a time of direct dynamic activation. The divine decree that elicits the igniting of the higher dimensions of the human DNA. And already you might feel the permeation of transmission as you joyously welcome divine light into body, mind, and soul. As you begin to envision yourself free of limitation, full of divine light, merciful of compassion, powerful of action. All these things that truly is the awakened avatar that begins as the 12-strand DNA is indeed ignited. Receive transmission. Imagine your cells awakening your molecules. And as you hold the light of your third eye in awakening, begin to envision, to imagine your DNA. It is a living language of light that is continually outpouring consciousness throughout your body. And it is the awakened DNA that also begins to ignite the sacred glands of the enlightened endocrine system. The constant flow of prana, the intake of solar prana, the upsweep of kundalini, and the sacred amrit of the holy soma of the sacred endocrine system. As you feel this subtle nectar, this holy amrit, be saturated. Allow that wellspring within you, that infinite divinity, to flow. Trust your experience. For your mastery is indeed in the making. And the inner avatar within is awakening. For the promise of the Ancient of Days is upon you. Oh, hearken ye, chelas of light. The awakening of your inner avatar lies within your very DNA. So activation, permeation, igniting light is what we of the Brotherhood of Light offer you. Feel, sense, receive. Holding in thy eyes light, the visioning of your DNA. And allow your third eye to connect with your DNA. As you begin to ignite and vision forth the divine DNA that is your birthright. The divine spiral, if you will, of the lines and force that are the Alpha and the Omega, and all the interconnecting lines of force that form that spiral of light that is the divine DNA. Vision it forth. And receiving light into your third eye. Receiving light into your heart of hearts. As we joyously welcome accelerated transformation. DNA awakening. And light streaming in. To permeate and awakening your DNA. To spark limitless health and well-being, super genius intelligence, health and vitality, and holding thy eye in the light to receive divine vision for the awakening of your DNA. The 12-strand DNA that makes manifest the avatar of the divine prototype for our humanity. allowing your experience for this transmittal of divine light. Trusting, receiving, igniting. Lovingly embracing your God inherent DNA. Permeation. Blessing.